Well, hey everybody! Marla Evans here, functional nutritionist and owner of Reclaimed Health. I'm glad you're joining me here for Weird Food Wednesday. I have a great pantry staple that you're going to want to never run out of. This stuff is amazing. So let me just tell you a little story about what happened to me the last week or so. It's been kind of kind of an interesting week. I think most of you know, I work from home. And so the last Wednesday, I decided, well, I'm going to take a little break, get out of the house for a little bit, go grab some lunch. And I took our dogs with us, or with me, just to get out of the house, like I said, take a break. And our one dog, Honey Bun, she's about 6 or 7 year old lab mix. She can bounce into the car, no problem. But my other dog, Dylan, who's about a 40-pound healer mix, he's 17 years old, and he's actually standing right here. You see him often wandering through the kitchen as I do these broadcasts because it's dinner time right now, and he's waiting for his dinner. And so anyway, he's 17 years old. He really can't get into the car or out of the car on his own anymore. So I pick him up, put him in the car, close the back of the SUV. We go do our car ride. He gets to enjoy a good sniffing and a good ride and come home. Well, this time we got home and I went to get him out of the car like I always do, and for whatever reason, he has never done this before, but he decided to just leap into my arms, and I wasn't ready for him at all. He's never jumped into my arms like that before, and I just barely caught him, and sure enough, twisted my back wrong, and oh my goodness, that hurt so bad. So multiple trips to the chiropractor, massage. I've got my trusty ice pack strapped to my back now, keeping it cool. After a week, I'm a whole lot better than I was last week. I was barely getting around last Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even over the weekend was having quite a bit of trouble. But yesterday and today, it's healing, like I said, with chiropractic care and some of the tips and tricks I'm going to share with you today. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to tell you, what am I doing for an injured back? Well, of course, my diet, as you probably expect, is a fairly anti-inflammatory anyway. I don't eat processed foods, very, very little sugar, lots of vegetables. So my diet's pretty good just on average, but I've got this inflammatory condition in my back, so what did I do? Well, the first couple of days, yeah, I was taking some Advil a couple times a day because, man, seriously, I could barely get around. This was hurting so much. And, a lot of people in the Whole Foods world, they're like, oh, they think we need to be superheroes and we should never take any kind of drugs. We should just use all natural solutions. And I applaud those who are able to do that. But in my opinion, medications have their place. And in this instance of an acute injury, this was one of them. So for a couple of days, I took Advil about twice a day, I guess, just to make sure. I'm sorry, I'm watching the phone for comments. Just to make sure, I was keeping the pain and the inflammation under control while I'm doing the ice pack, while I'm doing the chiropractic care, all this other stuff. And then once it calmed down a little bit, I felt okay to go ahead and move into more of the natural solutions. So what have I been doing with my back? Well, there's some stuff called arnica gel, and arnica is a homeopathic remedy, and I got the one that's in a topical gel form, and I've been putting that on my back and my hip where it's been hurting, and that helps with inflammation and pain. But then I'm also using this stuff called golden milk, which I wanted to talk to you about tonight. You may have seen posts on various blog sites, and I've even seen it on the news, on TV, and this kind of thing, talking about the benefits of turmeric. Well, turmeric is a root, and I didn't find any in the grocery store. I wanted to show you some, but it's a small root. It looks a lot like ginger. It's just a darker orange color, a little bit smaller pieces than ginger, and just has a crazy anti-inflammatory effect on the body. So I've been using that now that my back's a little bit better to help keep the inflammation under control. So what all is in this golden milk? Here we go. Get my slides caught up with me here. Well, first off, a little bit about the benefits of turmeric. As I've already mentioned, it does help with inflammation. It can help with cholesterol, osteoarthritis, since that is also a partially an inflammatory condition. The turmeric can, again, it's not a treatment or a cure for arthritis, but it can help with some of the pain of arthritis. And this one was interesting. Yeah, itchy. If you've got just an all-over unexplained itch, sometimes turmeric can help with that also. I found that kind of interesting. Let's see here. And then according to WebMD, turmeric is likely safe when taken by mouth or applied topically for up to 8 months, so quite safe there. It is possibly safe when used as an enema or a mouthwash short term. I've not heard of using turmeric in that capacity, but hey, you know, if it works, right? And then it usually does not cause side effects, although if you take it in large doses, it can upset your stomach, some nausea, dizziness, maybe even some diarrhea, if taken in very large doses, which I don't recommend. But the amounts you're going to get from cooking with it, or even in this golden milk that we're making, should be perfectly safe. But there are... Oh yeah, I wanted to make sure I mentioned that in order to boost the effectiveness of the turmeric, you always want to combine it with fat and with black pepper. Both of those help to increase the absorption of the turmeric, keep it in the blood system longer to make it more effective. So you do always want to include those two if you're going for turmeric medicinally. And a lot of Indian cooking includes both black pepper and fat, if you've eaten a lot of that curries and whatnot. There are a couple things to be careful of when dealing with turmeric. And again, this mostly applies if you're taking it in supplement form, where it's been brought down to just the active component, which is the curcumin. That's a component within turmeric. This is more of what we're talking about here, high doses of the supplement, not so much with the food form. Turmeric can amplify the effects of anticoagulants like aspirin, warfarin, Coumadin, and so may increase bleeding if you have bleeding disorders. It can also help lower blood sugar. So if you're a diabetic on medications and you want to use turmeric for some of its anti-inflammatory effects, you need to make sure you're monitoring your blood sugar more carefully. You may not need as much of your medication, so monitor and talk with your doctor. Stay in contact with your doctor. And these are very high doses, but I did want to go ahead and include this just so you know. And of course, anytime you're dealing with any medical condition, including pregnancy, you want to check with your doctor before using any kind of herbal supplements or that kind of thing. So in very high doses, it can trigger contractions in women or menstrual period in non-pregnant women. Also can cause, again, nausea and diarrhea. But like I said, you're not likely to encounter any problems with the amount that we're using in food. In this golden milk taken a couple of times a day should be perfectly safe. But I did want to be fully responsible here and point some of these things out to you. So, okay, so how are we going to make this turmeric tea? And let's just see if I've got anybody with me today. Well, my phone's not going to cooperate, period, so don't you know. All right, fine. Well, if you're making comments, I appreciate it. I love you. I'm glad you're here, but I can't see them when I'm on my computer and my phone is currently not cooperating. So anyway, okay, so to make turmeric milk or the golden milk, what I would suggest is you mix up a whole bunch of the spices ahead of time and just store it in your pantry. And that's what I've done here. I've mixed up just a great big batch. I keep this stored in my pantry, and of course I've always got coconut milk on hand in the pantry as well. So when I need this for, the arthritis is acting up, the dog jumps out of the car, or whatever else I feel like I need. Some days you just wake up, maybe you overindulged in something and you're feeling a little puffy, whatever. Or if you just want to take it just for continuing health benefits, just as a preventative. I've got it all mixed up, saved me from having to pull all this stuff out. So what you're going to do is add half a cup of turmeric powder. And I do recommend you get your spices as much as you can from the bulk section. This is from Natural Grocers because I probably paid about as much for this big bag of turmeric as you would for the little glass jar of turmeric. They're pretty close in price. So I would recommend, again, buying in bulk. So you're going to use half a cup of turmeric powder, and then we're going to add in a quarter cup of cinnamon powder. Cinnamon is another one that's really good for digestion. It's a warming spice, so it can kind of help make your stomach feel a little bit better. Can also help regulate blood sugar, so combined with the turmeric, a really good combination there. And then we're going to add, about a teaspoon? yeah, 1 to 2 tablespoons of ginger powder. Ginger is another herb that's excellent for the digestion, and it just plain tastes good. It's a good flavor combination. And like I said, we're going to make sure it includes some black pepper. I like to use freshly ground rather than the pre-ground stuff. I feel it's a little bit, sorry, Dylan's in here. I feel it's a little bit more effective. And you're going to use, what did I say, a couple teaspoons of black pepper. Grind, 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 grind. This is where my husband comes in handy. He has stronger hands than me, and it's not that this is difficult to grind. It just goes on and on forever, and he has a little bit more endurance with it than I do. So we're going to put some black pepper. So you're just going to take all of these ingredients, like I said, and stick it in a jar and mix it up good. There you go. That's all there is. Now there are a couple of extras you might want to consider putting in just for some extra flavor. Clove, nutmeg, cardamom. These are more more warming spices, and they taste good. So those are really more for flavor because we're adding such tiny bits in there. It's more for flavor. I would caution you against using too much nutmeg. I have found that when I get too much nutmeg in a recipe, it starts smelling and tasting a lot like that 409 cleaner. If you've ever used that, I don't know why. That's just what too much nutmeg smells like to me. So I would just encourage you to go easy on that one. So what are we going to do once we get our tea mix set up? Well, when you decide you want some, you're going to grab your jar of mix. You're going to get you a can of coconut milk. And what I did, where did I put my can? I think it's done draining. Remember, if you remember from the mushroom gravy episode, I told you to always open your coconut milk from the bottom because the solids will rise to the top. So by opening it at the bottom, you can pour off the liquid, and then it's easier to get the coconut cream out of there. So that's what I did, and I'm hoping it's finished dripping now. But I've got my can of coconut milk, and what I do is I put this in my blender along with one additional can of water because I find it a little bit too thick to just use it straight. Okay, it's a whole lot too thick to just use it straight. You can get light coconut milk, but best I can figure, the light coconut milk is just regular coconut milk with more water added. So they're about the same price. Why not buy the regular coconut milk and dilute it yourself? And so I end up with what, 20, this is 13 and a half ounces. You're asking me to do math in public, and it's always scary. That would be 27 ounces of coconut milk for the same price as what you would pay for the 13 ounce can of light. So that's just what I do. So anyway, about a can of coconut milk and a can of water. Sometimes I'll add just a little bit more water if I feel it's a little bit too thick. Then you just warm it up. Warm it up in a mug, and we're going to take about a teaspoon or so of the turmeric powder. Stick that in there. And then you're probably going to want to sweeten this. You'll find I'm always honest with you about these flavors. And with turmeric, I have found it can be a bit of an acquired taste. And I will admit the first few times I tried to drink this, I'm like, oh, I really don't care for this flavor, but I like the effects. I really can feel it. I have a bad knee, which it helps reduce some of the swelling in that knee. Again, it's been helping my back. So the first several times I tried this remedy way back then, or way back when, I just suffered through. If you're dealing with blood sugar issues, you probably want to go ahead and stick with your stevia or your xylitol because those won't impact your blood sugar. But if your blood sugar can handle it, I really would recommend you get some real raw honey for this recipe. Now be careful when you just go to the regular big box grocery stores and buy those honeys in the cute little teddy bear jars. They're adorable. But a lot of those factory farmed honeys, they're not allowing the bees to go out and feed on flowers and clover and all the things that bees are supposed to eat. They actually feed them high fructose corn syrup and let them make the honey from high fructose corn syrup, and yet the label says honey. Yeah, if the bees aren't eating a healthy diet, do you really think their honey is going to be healthy for you? Probably not. So I would encourage you to find some raw honey, some real honey. And if you can find it locally, all the better, because local raw honey contains lots of enzymes and other wonderful properties that can aid with, for example, allergies. And so I don't know if you can tell, but I really actually have a little bit too much on here. I don't like it really, really sweet. So I basically have enough on here to coat the spoon. Is really about all I have in here. And then just mix it up. That's it. Now I will warn you, Turmeric is a natural dye, so it will stain and you will not get it out. Best I can tell, I haven't found anything that can get it out. So do be careful with this if you're giving it to, to the kids or whatever, or you're cooking with turmeric, you're making a curry, whatever. You probably want to make sure the kids are staying in the kitchen and not allow them to have food in the living room. So anyway, just going to stir this up until the turmeric and other spices dissolve into the milk. And there you go. Can you see? I don't know if you can see this, and I'm not getting this too close to the computer. I'm not going to spill it over. But it's a nice bright yellow, kind of an orangey yellow drink. And you just drink it down to, if you're dealing with a condition like I am right now, an acute situation that I'm trying to keep under control. I'm having 2, maybe 3 glasses of this a day. That combined with the arnica gel and the little anti-inflammatory diet that I normally eat. The back is healing nicely. Of course, my beloved ice pack and my chiropractor. Hey, Dr. Fuller. I can't say enough good things about him and his staff taking care of my back with this. So it's been an interesting week. So anyway, that's it. That's golden milk. Keep this baby in your pantry at all times because, like I said, it's great for just general health benefits. It's great for if you've got some sort of mild injury and you need a little bit of this, try this before you go for the Advil, if that's okay with your doctor, and see how it does for you. It's done wonders for me. It's done wonders for lots of other people. So as always, I appreciate you being here. Please comment below, even if you're watching the replay. Those comments do help tell Facebook that this is something good over here. We want to tell more people about it. So by liking, commenting, and sharing, you help spread the word that while whole foods may be weird, they don't have to be yucky. They can actually be yummy. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate you here, and y'all have a great day.